distance.
Joining us now are Maslansky and partners Lee Carter and the Weekly Standard's Daniel Halper, who also wrote the best-selling book Clinton Inc. Thanks to both of you for being here. I go to Lee, to you first. We played the Scott Walker piece of sound. You have Scott Walker, Washington Post article on Scott Walker. What happened to Scott Walker? Stories about Jeb's weakness, some of Jeb's fundraisers leaving his campaign with varying stories about that. But clearly Donald Trump and his popularity are a big part of their problem.
You know, I think one of the big themes that we're seeing is, do people trust politicians? And the answer is no. And I think when you see Scott Walker, he seems really wishy-washy. He doesn't have the confidence that Trump does. He was asked the same question. He's like, well, I was talking to some folks. It's worth exploring. Trump comes in with a really confident answer. He says what he means what he says, and people are really responding to it, for better or for worse.
I wanted to get your take on that, Daniel. It's like Trump, you might not like his answers, but he gives you firm answers, and sometimes they're a little bit wacky. But he does come across as seeming like he's in control of the situation.
Yeah, look, and you're exactly right. And Walker's had a terrible month. I mean, not long ago, he was leading in Iowa and doing very well, gaining a lot of support, picking up some big donors. He's just been sinking ever since. I mean, it's really a stunning turn of events for Scott Walker. What's it going to take
for one of these candidates to really go after Trump? Because it seems like any foul up that Donald Trump makes doesn't even dent them.
Well, if Donald Trump's making like 25% in the polls, you don't want to alienate those voters if you're trying to get support. So it's like a weird thing. And they've seen other people like Rick Perry, Rand Paul. They've all gone after Donald Trump. And where are they now? They're not even being discussed. At least Walker's still being discussed. I think Walker's very quickly turning into the Rick Perry of 2016. That's the Rick Perry of 2012. He's just tanking, and he's had all this support. He's flailing. He doesn't know what to do, and he looks unsure. This was another example, but last week when he was talking about, well, should we change the Constitution, for citizenship, and he changed his answer 3 times, that's not good.
Both of y'all, let's talk about Hillary Clinton. And then there's the expectation that we're going to that there's more bad news to come about these emails. When that happens, nobody knows. But Dan, I want to get your take on that since you wrote the book Clinton Incorporated. Is that what's hurting her against Bernie Sanders, or is it more Bernie Sanders' strength?
Well, I actually think it's a combination of both. On the emails, we'll get over 6,000 later today. I just read the State Department will release more of them, so I'm sure that will dominate the news again, and we'll be discussing it even more because I'm sure we'll find interesting things in them. Look, Bernie Sanders appeals to Democrats because he actually believes what he says. People like what he says, and he believes it. He's genuine. He's a socialist, but the Democratic Party has really shifted to the left over the years, and especially under President Obama. Hillary is not able to resonate. She's not speaking to the voters. She's not campaigning aggressively and actually gripping and grinning as a normal politician would. And her best bet is just keeping Joe Biden and everybody else out. Of course, it looks like it's better for them to jump in.
And Lee, in that Quinnipiac poll last week, in a head-to-head matchup with Clinton v. Trump, Biden v. Trump, Sanders v. Trump, even Bernie Sanders beats Donald Trump, which is shocking if you're a Republican.
It really is. I think that people are talking so much about Trump, but Sanders is something that's really, really interesting that's happening. He's getting huge arenas filled with people. He's getting people really excited. And one of the things, as you said, is that he is really genuine. He is really authentic. He really does seem confident and has answers and solutions. Whereas Hillary Clinton, when you see her, people don't trust her. And it's because she's not really authentic.
But are we a nation that's going to elect a socialist? Are we a nation that's going to elect a socialist as the president of the United States? Okay, thank you.
Short answer, no. I think, it's so early right now, and he has gotten a lot of momentum, he being Bernie Sanders, but I don't see him as the candidate, and I think his numbers being up are a direct result of the negative press on Hillary.
Can I just say one thing about about all the talk about building walls? Mm-hmm. You know how much private property would have to be seized in order to build a wall along the Canadian border?
Yes.
I mean, talk about getting in fights with ranchers, about their private property. Forget it. It's an absurd idea.
And I will have the final word on that, because President Obama has talked about infrastructure spending at every single speech he's given that was related to the economy since he was elected to the presidency. Well, this is the biggest infrastructure project you could imagine. And does it sound like something that the Republicans would do or the Democrats? Ask yourself that. Lee, thank you so much. Lee Carter and Daniel Halper, thank you both for being here. And tennis fans,